I'm Sheth, a beauty content creator who spent years navigating through the highs and the lows of this journey. My need to be perfect started young, scoring the perfect A's, being the happy-go-lucky girl, and always hiding all of my imperfections. In fact, you might think that I was the smartest kid or the prettiest girl. That was actually not true. It was the contrary. In my head, I thought that I never measured up. Growing up, I never thought that content creation would be in my books. Like I said, I was this shy, underconfident girl who thought that I would never fit that ideal image. But let me tell you how that changed. Somewhere along the line, I was always passionate about it and I always wanted to give it a shot. So after a lot of cold DMs to brands, I somehow landed my first ever collaboration. What a moment, right? I should have felt all over the moon. But in fact, I was more nervous than excited. I had seen influencers post the perfect picture and I thought that I had to follow their path. So I succumbed to the pressure trying to get the best shot possible. I mean, let's be honest. We've all spent countless number of hours scrolling through those perfectly curated feed and thinking, wow, I wish I could be like that. Or I wish my life was as perfect as that. And honestly, I did too. This was my first ever collaboration. I honestly tried to make it as perfect as I could. In fact, I even remember my fingers were shivering as I go to hit post. I did it anyway. And my work manager at the time commented saying, what is this blogger post, which was further supported by my best friend. In that moment, I thought, the reason for this comment is that there's something wrong with my post. And, maybe if I try harder, make the next post more perfect, they'll respect me more. So every post I went thereafter, I tried to make it as perfect as I could. That was the beginning of the perfection cycle for me. I won't leave you hanging. I'll also tell you how I broke free from it. I remember I had to do a skincare reel for a brand. And my worst fear had come true. The dreaded pimple. I know it sounds silly, but for me, it felt like my world was falling apart. I shot the content anyway and took it live. As soon as I posted it, I had negative comments flowing in. And I felt like my world had just collapsed. The world saw me for my imperfections and I had nowhere to run and hide. I mean, you can see the pimple was so big, it deserved an Instagram handle of itself. I almost thought of tagging it in the reel saying, co-starring my worst nightmare. Out of panic, I decided to take a couple of days off. Could you guess what happened when I get back? That reel had become my most viewed reel with over 30 million views, which was total of all of my other reels combined, which was just insane. That's not even the best part. The best part was for every one negative comment that I had 5 positive comments. And the highlight of this all was a follower messaging me saying that for the first time, I understand what it's like to have real skin. That was my light bulb moment. That was when I decided that perfect is overrated. And what people want is for you to be real. And it was also a great moment of realization because that's when I realized that the work that I do is so much bigger than me. That was the start of building my no-filter community. I stopped caring for the perfect feed. I started showing people the real side of me so they can resonate, they can understand that we are all in the same boat. I mean, it wasn't easy, which is why I created a reward system. It was almost like how Jim trained Dwight with rewards. I know it sounds a little silly, but I'll tell you why this worked. Anytime I posted an unfiltered picture of me, I rewarded myself with nachos. Anytime I went to an event with a bad hair day, extra cheese on those nachos. Honestly, sometimes I wonder how did I not end up as face of Doritos and created beauty content instead. Now, I'll tell you why this works. So, our brain is tuned to not embrace imperfection. But when you create a reward system, you are training it to embrace it. It may be a little hard, but you're going to get there. What started from the story of that dreaded pimple soon turned into me wearing an outfit that I wasn't confident in outdoors, or even doing this talk right now. So this is another win for me. After I saw that the impact that it had on my life, I moved my focus to helping people close to me feel the best version of themselves, be it my friends, family, or co-worker. I remember one of my co-workers was so stressed about this presentation that she thought she had to nail. Or even my artist friend who thought that her work was never good enough. But I will tell you one instance that stands out. Earlier in my days, I was invited to influencer events. And I remember being sick to my stomach, feeling so anxious. I almost felt like I didn't belong there. You know, I didn't think that in a room full of people who have it all together, I'd be able to stand out. I mean, come on, they have perfect skin, picture perfect posts and reels, great confidence. I mean, how could I belong there? As soon as I went there and I started talking to people, there was one thing I realized. Their textured skin, their nervousness, their insecurity, they were just like me. And this shared vulnerability sparked some real conversations with people who I now say are my closest friends. I instantly realized the impact that my content could make. So instead of asking what people want to see, I started understanding what they want to feel. They want to feel seen, heard, understood. They are not looking for the next it girl. They are looking for someone who mirrors their insecurities, their experiences, someone they can truly look up to. But you know what the sad thing is? While I embrace this imperfection, the world around me often didn't. Brands would still reach out to me and seek picture perfect visuals or perfect skin. And I couldn't help but wonder, when will we stop when will we stop aiming for these unattainable standards of beauty? When do we start embracing authenticity? And that's when I realized that the pressure of being perfect isn't just mine. It's something that we all face. I'm sure each one of you in this room would be feeling that at some point in your life. Now, don't get me wrong. The road to this, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be pretty uncomfortable at start, but it's so worth it. Now, I've put together a 4-step framework which helped me get over my imperfections, or actually embrace imperfections. First, recognize the pressure. Ask yourself why you're feeling this. It's very simple. Just sit and ask yourself, I'm feeling this because, and dive to the depth of it. Second, reframe your thought. Let me tell you, you don't need to be perfect to be worthy. You are already enough. Third, take a small step. As college students, submit that one project imperfectly. Wear that edgy outfit. Be vulnerable in front of your friend. Do it. It's worth it. And last, don't forget to reflect and celebrate. Celebrate the right step that you took in the right direction and recognize the effort that went behind it. Now, for me, I still feel the urge, or I still fight the urge to not wanting to share the imperfect side of me. Something that I got over this year was my insecurity about my stretch marks. As growing up, I've always been someone who would wear full sleeves. But this year, with my reward system, I've managed to get out, attend events, and embrace who I truly am. Honestly, even being vulnerable today, here, is another win for me. Like, I knew my speech wasn't going to be perfect, maybe something's off in my deck, but I knew I had to show up here, share this story with you. And honestly, no brownie points for guessing what my lunch for today is. So lastly, I just want to say that let's stop aiming for perfection and start embracing what's real. Even Friends wasn't well known because of the perfect life. It was the chaos, it was the quirks. Again, Ross and Rachel's perfect relationship still hasn't settled the infamous debate of if they were really on a break. And isn't that what made it so memorable? So let me leave you with this today. When you leave this room, I urge you to share one imperfect moment of your day. It can be anything. It can be a goofy selfie, or your lunch, or your desk, or even a conversation you've had with your best friend. I'd like to celebrate with you. So when you share that story, tag me and I'd love to repost it. And lastly, anytime you ever feel that there's so much of pressure and you're getting overwhelmed trying to be perfect, take a deep breath and remember, you are already enough and that is your superpower. Thank you.